My friends, before we begin, take a quick look at the clock because you might fall asleep before this video even ends. I made this for you, yes, just for you, wherever you are tonight, whatever you're carrying. If this voice brings even a little softness into your heart, then gently tap the like button before your eyes grow heavy. Subscribe, this quiet space will always be here for you. Keep your attention on my voice. You don't need to hold on tightly to anything. Just let each line drift over you, like passing clouds. And before you drift off, write a little note below. When did your journey begin? Now, dim the lights, turn on a soft fan, and settle in. Let's begin. The first awareness you have before even opening your eyes is not of sound or thought, but of a pervasive, aching cold. It seeps in slowly but completely up through the pallet of straw beneath you, down from the smoke-stained rafters above, and sideways through the cracked, muddied wattle walls. It has been hours since the fire truly gave off warmth. Its embers still breathe faintly somewhere near the hearth, but no heat reaches your sleeping form, not through the woolen blanket, not through your coarse tunic, not through the shared body heat of those sleeping inches away. The cold is simply there, unrelenting, clinging. You don't move at first. There is no reason to. Movement brings stiffness into pain. Your joints, knees, shoulders, neck protest even as they remain still. The straw under your body has long flattened into uneven clumps. Some of it has shifted to bear the dirt beneath, and some still holds last week's dampness. The rough sack holding the straw has torn in two places. You can feel bits of it sticking to your skin. The air smells of sheep grease, cooked onions, and old feet. Someone, perhaps your older cousin, has been snoring steadily for some time, though the sound blends so naturally with the hut's stillness that you barely register it. A faint wheeze, a damp cough, the shuffle of mice beneath the cupboard near the wall. All normal, all continuous, nothing out of the ordinary. You open one eye. The light inside the hut is gray, heavy. It is not yet sunrise. The sky beyond the thin window cloth, a stretched membrane of animal horn, is dull with the color of wet stone. The little daylight that does manage to push through strikes the air in slanted shafts, catching the floating bits of ash and dust that never fully settle. You watch the particles shift. Slowly, they descend. Then they rise again. Caught in some invisible stirring of air near the door, you attempt to sit. At first, your body doesn't comply. Your back is one unbroken length of stiffness. Your shoulder itches where your tunic's seam rubbed through the night. As you rise, inch by inch, you feel something small shift beneath you. A beetle, possibly just straw, possibly not. You don't investigate. There is no point. If it bites, you'll know soon enough. Your blanket slips. Cold air finds your collarbone, then your spine. You shiver, not sharply. It's the kind of shiver that begins deep in your ribs and moves like a tremor outward. Your fingers are numb. You flex them once, twice. You do not yet reach for your shoes. Beside you, someone stirs. It is the neighbor's nephew, or perhaps the cobbler's son. You never asked. There are 5 people sleeping in this room, and the walls are thin enough that you've heard all their dreams. You share the space, and that is enough. You pull the blanket away fully. Beneath it, your feet are bare, curled inward for warmth. Your left heel is still crusted with mud from yesterday's trip to the mill pond. Your right ankle is wrapped in a strip of linen, now yellowed and stiff. The splinter it covered still aches. You lower your legs over the side of the pallet. The floor meets your skin like stone. You pause. You do not want to stand. Standing means deciding what comes next, and in this hour, this first hour of waking in winter, there is no real next, only the slow unfolding of needs. Fire must be coaxed, water fetched, bread checked for mold, the privy visited, unless the bucket is still clean enough to use. But not yet. For now you simply sit, blinking slowly, watching your breath hang faintly in the air. Your fingers find the laces of your tunic. You tug once. The knot is frozen. You leave it. The fire's embers are visible now, faintly pulsing red beneath a gray mound of ash. You know you must go to it, feed it, stoke it. But the idea of rising, of crossing the room barefoot with the cold mud floor pressing against your bones is not appealing. Instead, you rub your hands slowly together. The friction does little. Your skin feels dry and rough, like old cloth left too long in the wind. The first noise from the outside world arrives softly, a crow calling once from beyond the field wall. Its voice is flat and distant. No horses yet, no carts, just the crow and a dog's bark echoing faintly from the far side of the village. Both sounds pass without urgency. You decide to move. You stand carefully, 1 foot at a time, pressing your heel into the floor, then your toes. The pressure sends a dull jolt up your spine. You grimace quietly, mostly from habit. You take 1, then 2 steps toward the hearth. The fire waits. You reach it, kneel, pick up the old iron poker, a crooked rod with a bent loop at the end, and begin to stir the ash. Small sparks flutter upward, barely alive. You add 1 twig, then another, then a bundle of last month's dry rushes, saved in a sack near the door. The smoke begins to rise again, slowly curling toward the thatch above. You sit beside the hearth, not for warmth. It is not yet warm, but for ritual. You wait, hands near the faint glow. Your breath continues to cloud before you, fading as slowly as the morning itself. 1 hour has passed. The day has not yet begun, but you are awake, and so, in the medieval sense of things, you are already enduring. There is no alarm to start your day, no bell, no rooster, no jarring sound that marks a clear separation between sleep and wakefulness. Instead, there is simply the gradual shift from unconscious stillness into something slightly more aware. Not thoughts exactly, just the soft return of sensation. Your skin becomes conscious of the straw. It presses into your side, not sharply, but insistently. The ends of it are rough, dry, and splintered. You feel it poke through the thin linen sheet that barely separates your body from the makeshift mattress. It itches faintly. You do not scratch. You lie still. Your back remains curved slightly where the mattress has dipped unevenly from the weight of several nights before. Beneath the straw, the wooden planks creak softly with each tiny motion. Above you, the ceiling is nothing but beams and thatch, still cloaked in darkness, still unmoving. The blanket that covers you is made of thick wool. It is heavy now, soaked with the dampness of a dozen breaths trapped beneath it through the night. It carries the smell of smoke, stale clothing, and faint animal sweat. You try not to move too suddenly, lest you wake the person beside you, perhaps your cousin or a visiting relative from 2 villages away. You aren't sure. Last night's sleeping arrangement was settled after the candles had gone out and everyone had already agreed they'd make do. The room is silent but not quiet. A distant snore, the soft exhale of someone breathing through a stuffy nose, the low rustle of fabric as another sleeper shifts beneath their own heavy blanket. Somewhere to your right, a faint thump, possibly a rat inside the wall. It does not alarm you. It is winter. Rats seek warmth like everyone else. You keep your eyes closed, not because you're still sleeping, but because opening them feels like a commitment, and you are not ready to commit. Not yet. A breeze makes its way in through the ill-fitted window. It's a narrow gap where wood has warped over time. The air it lets in is sharp and thin, the kind that brushes your nose and dries the inside of your mouth. You inhale. You smell ashes, wool, and something faintly sour, perhaps the milk that turned overnight in the pitcher on the shelf. Your toes curl reflexively beneath the blanket. 1 foot finds the edge of the mattress and drifts off it. The chill of the floor is immediate and unforgiving, even without touching it. You withdraw your foot slowly. There's no need to rise. Not yet. Outside, the sky is still a deep gray. Not black, but the color of soot-laced wool. Sunrise remains an hour or more away. The village is still wrapped in shadow. There are no footsteps in the lane, no dogs barking, no cartwheels groaning over frozen ruts. The mattress beneath you crackles faintly with every movement. The straw is not fresh. It was replaced last harvest, and already it has flattened. Bits of it have broken and drifted loose into the corners of the bed frame. You feel one now, near your shoulder. You shift slightly to adjust, and the entire pile shifts with you. One soft rustle met with 5 seconds of settling sounds. No one in the room stirs. Everyone is waiting for the same thing. Eventually your eyes open, just a sliver, just enough to confirm that the ceiling is where it should be, and the fire has not gone out entirely. A faint red glow flickers in the hearth, no flames, just coals. The light from them does not reach far. It barely touches the table's edge where a chipped bowl and a folded bit of cloth sit, forgotten. You are awake, but you do not rise. You remain nestled in the stillness, suspended between obligation and inertia. The day will come soon. The fire will need tending. The animals will need feeding. The bread will be checked for mold. But none of that is now. Now is just this: a body pressed into old straw, wrapped in a damp blanket, surrounded by the slow breath of others, beneath a roof of thatch that leaks when the rain comes sideways. There is no hurry. The sun has not risen, and so neither do you. Now allow yourself to rest into the rhythm of another slow, uneventful moment, the kind of moment that stretches dull and silent across the cold stillness of a medieval winter morning. Your breath is quiet, the world is gray, and as you begin to move, ever so gently, the weight of the day reminds you that your body is no longer young. It begins with a shift, not a large one, just the subtle tightening of the lower back muscles, the kind that starts as a mere thought and ends with a slow, reluctant motion. Your spine does not agree. It has grown used to its shape during sleep, curled into a gentle arc over hours of stillness. The straw beneath you has formed its own memory, molded to the exact dip of your hips, the curve of your ribs, the point of one elbow. The ache announces itself first in your hips, not sharp, not sudden, but dull, spreading outward in slow ripples like warmth in reverse. Your knees, folded through the night, protest as they are asked to extend. You do not force them. You begin instead with a careful flex of the ankles, each toe responding with a crackle, a twitch, a hint of chill. Your breath escapes in a low puff as you shift your arms from beneath the blanket. The cold air touches your skin like melted ice, and your forearms feel as though they've turned to wood. Your fingers resist curling. They have stiffened overnight. They will need time. The act of sitting upright is not a decision, it is a process. You roll slightly to your side first, as you've learned to do on mornings like this. Rolling too quickly causes your back to catch a sudden twinge that lasts for days, so you move carefully. One elbow pushes into the straw, then the other. Your shoulder creaks, your ribs compress, you pause, then rise an inch more. The wool blanket falls from your shoulders with a soft thud. It lands on your lap, heavy and damp with the breath of 5 sleepers. You pull it close, not to cover your torso, too late for warmth now, but to shield your legs from the full exposure of the room. The room is not warm, it has never been warm, but now at this earliest hour it is especially raw. Your body trembles slightly as your spine unfolds, vertebra by vertebra. Your neck tilts forward, bringing your head upright, where it balances uncertainly. A quiet pressure forms at the base of your skull, a reminder of the dampness in the thatch above. The aches are predictable. Right shoulder where the pail slipped 2 days ago. Left ankle where the boot wore through last month. Middle back from lifting something too heavy without a second set of hands. None of it new, all of it expected. You blink slowly. The light inside the hut is minimal, pale, filtered through a sliver in the window cloth. Dust drifts through the beams, made visible only by the faintest glow of dying embers in the hearth. The cold has crept into every surface. The bench beside the fire is rimmed with frost. The handle of the door is stiff with morning air. You rub your hands together, not to warm them, that will take time, but simply to feel them again. Beside you, someone still sleeps. You hear the rhythmic, soft inhalation. You envy their stillness, but you do not wish to return to it. The discomfort now is preferable to the stiffness later. You have learned that. Your breath clouds faintly in front of your face. You watch it rise and vanish. No one speaks. No one moves. The aches continue, but you do not rush them. The body must remember itself slowly. You are sitting upright now. You are awake, and though your joints may protest, you have survived the night, which in this time and place is enough. Now let your thoughts slow even further. Drift into the quiet between sounds, into that fragile hour before motion begins, where everything around you is still waking, including the distant village beyond your wall. Take a deep breath, let it out slowly, and picture this quiet gray beginning as you sit, alone listening. The bell does not ring loudly, not here, not where you sit, hunched beneath a sagging roof, wrapped in a woolen shawl that no longer holds warmth but does its best to suggest it. The bell tolls faintly, muffled by distance, dulled by mist. It begins without drama, one slow note, then another. The space between each chime is wide enough to think within. You do not count the tolls, you already know the hour by the light outside. Pale, featureless, neither dawn nor night, just the soft graying of the world. The bell continues, a low iron voice calling the village awake, not commanding, not asking, just stating that it is time. You sit on the edge of the straw mattress, shoulders curved inward, hands resting loosely on your knees. Your joints still ache, though slightly less than they did a few moments before. The fire has not yet been stirred. The air in the room remains thick and unmoved, but the sound of the bell gives shape to the silence, marking the slow beginning of another day. Beyond the wall on the far side of the yard, something shifts. At first you do not hear it, you feel it, a faint tremble in the earth, a vibration as hooves press into frozen soil. Then comes the low snort, the sound of a heavy breath expelled through a nostril crusted with frost, one of the oxen, or perhaps the neighbor's mule. There is no urgency in the movement, just the slow rediscovery of muscle, the tentative testing of limbs. A soft rustling follows, hay disturbed inside the low barn, the creak of old wood as something leans against the stall door. Somewhere a chicken calls once, not the full crow of a rooster, but the complaining mutter of a hen disturbed too early. You remain still, listening. The bell finishes its toll. Its final note echoes longer than the rest, like a sigh that doesn't quite fade. In its place comes the murmur of other sounds, a goat bleating quietly, more breath than voice, the faint jingle of a strap as an animal stretches against its tether, a flutter of wings as pigeons take to the thatch. The world beyond your walls is beginning to stir, but inside, all remains the same. The air is unmoved, the light unchanged, the others still sleep, curled beneath their own heavy layers, their breathing slow and rhythmic. You shift slightly, your feet touching the cold floor once again. The sensation is immediate. You pull them back beneath the blanket without thought. There is no rush. The bell has rung. The animals are waking, but you do not yet move. You listen to the wind in the chimney, to the breath of a calf testing its morning voice, to the final echo of the iron bell, now swallowed by fog and time. And in this stillness, you remain, quietly present, but not yet part of the day. Now return with me to the heart of stillness, a moment suspended in gray, silent air, before anyone else moves, before words are spoken, before warmth returns. The fire is waiting, and so slowly, with care and with no desire to rush, you begin to move through the cold morning hush of your medieval cottage. You begin with one foot. It slips quietly from beneath the edge of the woolen blanket and lowers slowly toward the floor. There is no surprise in the cold. You expected it. Still, the first touch of packed earth to bare skin is sharper than memory allows. The dampness rises through your foot instantly, clinging, thin, cold, as if it had been pulled from a stream and left in shadow overnight. You hesitate, but the fire needs tending. Your other foot follows, gingerly joining the first on the floor. The unevenness is immediate. The hard ridge of a stone presses into your heel. A hollow in the earth cups your toe. Somewhere near your arch, a bit of crushed straw clings to the damp. The floor is not flat. It never has been. Years of walking, shifting, settling, it has molded itself to the habits of tired feet. You rise slowly. Your knees creak as they straighten. The blanket falls from your shoulders, releasing your body into the full weight of the room's chill. It wraps around your arms, your chest, your spine. You do not flinch. You simply begin to walk. Each step is deliberate. You place your foot carefully, not for fear of pain but out of habit. Your heel touches first, then the ball, then your toes press gently forward. The dirt is soft in places, gritty in others. You move silently, almost reverently toward the hearth. The hearth glows faintly. It is not burning, not truly. The fire has retreated deep beneath its blanket of ash. A few embers still pulse there, red, tired, barely alive. Thin curls of smoke rise upward, disappearing before they reach the chimney's throat. The stone around the hearth is cold to the touch. You kneel anyway. The ash crunches beneath your hand as you reach for the iron poker. It is half buried, its handle cold and slightly damp. You pull it free with care. The sound it makes, stone against stone, is the loudest thing you've heard in the last 20 minutes. You begin to stir the coals. At first nothing happens. The top layer is lifeless, soft and gray. But beneath it, slowly, as you scrape gently across the hearth's bed, red begins to glow. One ember flares, then another. You add a stick, dry from the pile near the wall, then a twist of straw. You blow gently. The ember accepts your breath like a prayer. The straw catches first, then the stick begins to smolder. The scent of smoke changes, sharper now, more awake. You place another stick atop the first. The flame is small, timid, but it is enough. You remain kneeling, hands outstretched, as the warmth begins its slow return. Your toes remain cold, your breath still clouds in the air, but the fire is living again, and for now, that is the only task that matters. You sit beside it, you wait, and the world continues, one silent ember at a time. Now let your shoulders relax, let the room grow dim, and picture this quiet hour. No urgency, no voices, just the steady act of coaxing warmth from what remains of yesterday. There is no fire yet, only ash, and your hands. You do not wear gloves. They would make it harder, not easier. The twigs you've gathered are damp, not soaked, but damp enough that they resist catching. You can feel the moisture in their bark as you hold them. It clings to your fingertips, numbing them slightly. Still, you press forward. The hearth is quiet. It no longer glows. The ash is piled thick, soft and cool to the touch. You stir it gently with your hand first, fingers pushing aside the pale, crumbling remains of last night's fire. Beneath that surface, there are still traces, thin threads of ember, not glowing, but warm enough to remember their purpose. You move slowly, each motion deliberate. You clear a space near the heart of the ashes, not too large, just enough for a cluster of twigs and a breath of air. You reach for the first handful. They crackle faintly, but it is not the sound of fire, it is the sound of damp wood resisting. You place them carefully, one by one, like lining small bones into a makeshift skeleton. No piece is longer than your hand. Some are split, some are bent, all of them slightly soft at the ends from a night spent too close to the outer wall. You press the twigs into place. Around them you tuck bits of old straw saved in a cloth pouch beside the hearth. You crumble some of it between your fingers. It falls like dry grass, coarse and uneven. You place it beneath the twigs, not above. Fire climbs upward, if it climbs at all. Now the breath. You lean close. Your knees dig into the stone hearth edge. Your elbows rest on your thighs. You blow, slowly. Not too much. A single strong breath can scatter everything. The ash, the straw, the shape you've built. So you exhale in a thin stream, low and even. Nothing. Then again, still nothing. A third breath, longer this time. The ashes shift. One ember flickers. You stop moving. Wait. Watch. A hint of orange. A curl of smoke. You breathe again. More steadily now. The straw begins to darken. One corner curls inward. Another turns black. You see no flame, only change. Then a whisper of light. A faint flicker so soft it could vanish with a cough. You hold your breath now. Let it catch. It does. The twigs resist. They hiss. One cracks slightly. Then another catches. You feed them slowly. One more stick at a time. Never rushing. Damp wood cannot be hurried. You build a shape that invites air, not suffocates it. You guide the fire with space, not fuel. Your hands are blackened with ash now. The dust clings beneath your nails, along the creases of your knuckles. Your breath smells faintly of smoke. You do not mind. This is the rhythm of every morning. The fire must be relit, and it always resists. The room warms slowly. You feel it first at your wrists, then along your cheeks. The chill does not vanish. It lingers at your feet, in your sleeves, along the edge of the wall, but the center of the room begins to change. You sit back, knees stiff, palms resting on your thighs. You stare at the flame as it grows, small, steady, unremarkable. It will be enough, and for now, you have done your part. Take another breath now, let your eyelids grow heavier, and picture a moment so ordinary, so quiet that it barely counts as a thought. You are dressing for the day, but not for fashion, not for comfort, only for necessity. And the first thing you reach for is the same woolen tunic you've worn since harvest. It has waited through the night, slumped in the corner like a tired friend. Now it must warm you again. The tunic is stiff this morning. You knew it would be. It always is after a night spent balled beneath the bench near the hearth. The wool has held the shape of yesterday's body, creased at the elbows, flattened along the back, one sleeve twisted halfway inside out. You lift it slowly. It carries weight not just from the fabric itself, but from weeks of wear, mud at the hem, sweat in the collar, and the unmistakable aroma of sheep. You hold it up. The sleeves dangle, empty and slightly damp near the cuffs. The neckline is wide, frayed at the edges, with a bit of stitching coming loose on the left shoulder. You've meant to repair it, but repairs take time and linen thread, and a bit of patience you haven't yet found. You lower your arms through the sleeves. The wool touches your skin like straw soaked in last night's chill. It clings in some places, resists in others. Your right wrist catches on a patch of matted fibers. You wiggle your fingers until the sleeve falls fully. The left slides through more easily. The tunic settles on your shoulders with the slow heaviness of fabric grown too familiar. It smells, as always, faintly of goat, not the sharp smell of a live animal, but the dull persistence of something that once grazed and now lingers. The scent lives in the fibers, woven into the warp and weft of the wool itself. A mix of lanolin, smoke, and the slow decay of sweat that no washing has ever removed. You do not mind, or rather, you no longer notice. The tunic hangs long, nearly to your knees. Its weight pulls evenly across your back. The front has stretched slightly from use. A patch near the waist is darker than the rest, where a bit of stew spilled 2 weeks ago and was never fully scrubbed. The sleeves fall wide and loose, offering little protection from wind, but enough to suggest modesty. You tie the belt next, a cord of twisted hemp pulled snug around your waist. The knot is familiar, practiced, unthinking. You tug once to tighten, then let your hands fall to your sides. The fabric bunches slightly above the belt. You smooth it down. The room has not warmed, but now your skin no longer feels exposed. The tunic does not comfort, it shields. It announces to the cold that you are not entirely unprepared, that you have wrapped yourself again in the daily armor of subsistence, that you are ready, if not eager, for the hours ahead. You stand there for a moment longer, unmoving. The wool itches faintly beneath your arms. The hem brushes your knees. Your feet are still bare, the floor still cold, but your shoulders are covered. And in a medieval winter, that is something. Let your thoughts slow even further now, as we turn to one of the humblest, quietest moments of a medieval morning. There are no heroic tasks here, no important duties, just the simple, unavoidable call of nature, answered with a short, cold shuffle across muddy ground, under a pale sky, beside a fence that leans just slightly more than yesterday. You pause before the door. It isn't locked, because there is no lock, just a wooden plank held in place by a loop of old twine. You slip it free with numb fingers. The door groans, a slow, familiar protest. The hinges speak with a voice of rust and weather. You step out into the morning. The air is sharp. It grips your face instantly. There is no wind, only the kind of cold that seems to hang in place, dense and unmoving. It settles into the hollow beneath your collarbone, trickles into your sleeves and curls around your ankles. You feel it find your spine. The ground outside is soft, too soft. It has rained in the night, or perhaps simply thawed a little. Your feet press into the earth with a reluctant squelch. Each step forward is a negotiation between balance and slipperiness. You do not rush. Your gait is slow, unsteady, more of a shuffle than a walk. Your eyes are barely open. The sky above is a solid gray, blank as a washcloth. No sun yet, just a faint suggestion of brightness behind the clouds. You breathe out, and your breath clouds before you, then disappears. You walk past the firewood stack, past the bucket that collects the slow drip from the thatch, past the chicken coop, still shuttered tight. No sound from inside it yet. The ground here is firmer, scattered with straw, though the smell of wet earth and old manure is stronger. And then you reach it, the fence. It leans gently but persistently, as if bowing towards something it once stood against. It is made of crooked slats, some of which have slipped loose and now dangle like half-closed shutters. A bit of moss clings near the base. One post is entirely out of the ground, its bottom rotting where it met too many winters. This is the place. There is no outhouse, no privy, no shed with a door, only this bit of relative privacy, where the cottage blocks the view from the lane and the fence offers modesty from the barn. It is not hidden, just tucked slightly to one side, as if by shared agreement that no one will look too closely. You squat carefully. The ground is uneven, soft and cold beneath your feet. You balance, more from experience than confidence. There is no ceremony here. Only the basic routine, done quickly, quietly, without eye contact if anyone passes by. The smell is familiar. Damp soil, frosted weeds, the faint ammonia of last week's visit. There is no paper, of course. You have a handful of dry leaves gathered in a little bundle inside the cottage and carried out in your sleeve. You use them slowly, deliberately, not for comfort, there is none, but for necessity. When finished, you tuck them under a small stone nearby, weighed against the breeze. You stand. The muscles in your thighs protest. You brush your hands together once. Then again, you shuffle back the way you came, past the fence, past the silent coop, past the bucket now rimmed with a thin film of ice. The door creaks again as you push it open. You do not look behind you, because there is nothing worth seeing, and inside, at least, there is fire, or something like it. And now, let the quiet deepen, let your breath settle, as we reach yet another slow, colorless moment of peasant routine. There is no chatter here, no excitement, only a dull shared silence, as you wait in line with others to scoop a little water tepid, brown and necessary from a barrel that has sat too long beneath the gutter's drip. The task is simple, the wait is long, the water is not worth the effort. But you wait. You stand with your hands tucked beneath your sleeves. The air has not warmed. It still hangs heavy and damp, curling around your shoulders and settling between your knuckles. Your tunic clings faintly to the wool of your underlayer. Your feet ache slightly from the walk, but you say nothing. The barrel sits in the yard's center. It leans to one side, not from poor construction but from time. The ground beneath it has softened. One leg of its makeshift wooden stand has sunk slightly. No one fixes it. The barrel still holds water. That's enough. The others stand ahead of you. A woman you've seen before but whose name you don't know. A boy too small to carry his own bucket without spilling half of it down his front. An older man who always arrives early and pretends not to listen when others speak. No one talks. There is no need. The barrel doesn't move faster if you chat, and the water doesn't get cleaner, so you wait. The person at the front dips their scoop. It is not a proper ladle, just half a gourd with a handle fashioned from old wire. They plunge it in slowly, carefully, not to avoid splashing, but because the barrel is nearly full, and sloshing means losing some to the mud. The scoop rises, dark and dripping, and is poured into a narrow clay jug. The water glugs slowly, thick with silt. It is not clear, but it will serve. You shift your weight from one foot to the other. The ground beneath you is uneven, cold and sticky. Bits of hay and straw are scattered near the barrel, an attempt to control the mud. It doesn't help much. Your left heel sinks slightly. You lift it, then set it down again. The wetness creeps into your boot. Another scoop, another jug filled. Another slow step forward. The water smells faintly of moss, of gutter runoff and old wood. It has been standing here for some time. There was a rain 3 days ago. The barrel refilled then. Since, it has settled. Leaves floated down, twigs fell in, and a few beetles made their way across the surface before sinking quietly into the shadows. The boy steps aside. He struggles with his bucket. The water sloshes dangerously close to the rim. He doesn't ask for help. You do not offer. That's not how it's done. Now you are next. You step forward. The scoop is wet, slightly slimy. You take it anyway. The gourd's edge is chipped. You lower it into the water. It dips beneath the surface with a soft splash. As it rises, a strand of green clings to the side. You ignore it. You tip the scoop into your own jug, which rests between your feet. The water dribbles in slowly, thick, quiet. You dip again. This time, a bit of bark floats to the edge. You flick it away with your thumb. It lands at the base of the barrel, joins others already gathered there. You do not fill the jug all the way. It is too heavy when full. You cap it with a bit of cloth, wrap it once with twine, and nod to the person behind you. They step forward. You step back, and the water waits, unchanged for the next hand. Now let the stillness return again, slower now, quieter than before. The morning has unfolded just enough to find you in its center, not doing, not planning, just sitting. The hearth gives a little warmth. Others stir behind you. No one speaks yet. No one needs to. This is the softest part of the day, the in-between. You sit on the low stool. It is uneven. One leg is shorter than the others, so you shift slightly until you find the angle where it settles into the dirt floor and stops rocking. You set your heels forward, letting your toes creep as near to the hearth as they dare. The fire is small but alive. Your feet are bare. The skin is dry and creased with faint white lines from the cold. Around the ankles, a bit of soot clings where your trousers brushed the hearth edge. You wiggle your toes. They respond sluggishly at first, then more freely. The warmth hasn't reached them yet, but the fire is trying. You don't look directly at the flames. You stare just beside them, at the glow reflected in the soot-streaked stones. A faint orange line pulses across the hearth's interior, rising and falling as each log hisses, collapses, shifts into the next. Occasionally a spark jumps, dancing upward before disappearing into the gloom beneath the chimney. Behind you the cottage is waking, softly, no voices, just breath and fabric, the creak of someone turning in their bedding, the hollow cough of an older sleeper shaking out the night, the gentle rustle of a blanket being folded back, then dropped again. Footsteps will come soon, but not yet. You remain still. The fire crackles, a quiet, intermittent sound like paper being crumpled very slowly. It draws no attention. It is just there, doing what it must. You lean forward slightly, resting your forearms on your knees. The stool groans faintly. Your back curves. Your eyes blur with the flame's motion. The warmth finally reaches your toes. Not all at once. It comes as a suggestion, a gentle loosening of muscle, a faint itch as blood returns to the surface. You move your feet closer. The soles begin to sting slightly, as if surprised to feel anything at all. A figure passes behind you. They do not speak. They do not need to. You hear the soft patter of footfalls against the packed earth, the swish of woolen fabric against a knee, the pause as a mug is lifted from the shelf. Then silence again. Another cough, a yawn, a mutter too quiet to be words. You sit unmoving. The stool beneath you creaks again. The fire shifts. The wood gives a sudden pop, then resettles. A fresh curl of smoke rises upward, threading into the beam above. Your fingers hang loosely between your knees. There is nothing to do yet. No chores have been named. No bread cut. No command spoken. Only warmth. Only feet near fire. only breath in the stillness, shared and quiet. You let it continue, and the day waits with you. Let your breath grow shallow now, like dust suspended in air, as we return to the quietest corners of the cottage. No labor here, no speech, just a moment of small adjustments, a motion of the hand, a sound from above. You are not yet part of the day, but neither are you entirely hidden from it. You lift your hand slowly. The straw clings to your tunic, not in great clumps, but in small, persistent curls. Pale, yellow threads caught in the coarse wool, threaded through the folds of your sleeves, resting lightly along your thighs. You brush at them absently, not to be clean. There is no such thing, just to clear space for movement. The pieces fall without ceremony. Some drift to the floor, others float for a moment, caught in a current of rising hearth warmth, then land again where they began. One catches on your wrist, another disappears into your boot. You do not follow them. The motion of brushing is rhythmic, soothing. The palm sweeps once, then again, across the lap, down one thigh, then the other. You shift in your seat to reach the creases behind your knee. You brush there too, though you know it makes no difference. The straw will return tonight. Above you, a cough breaks the silence. It is your cousin. You know his cough. You've heard it for 3 winters, always in the morning. Dry, scraping, muffled by the low loft and the thick blanket he keeps pulled up over his shoulders. It echoes slightly through the beams above, bouncing off the thatch and falling softly back into the room. You pause, not out of alarm, just to listen. The cough comes again, short, then a moment of stillness, then a longer exhale, followed by the soft sound of him turning over in his bedding. The loft groans faintly under his weight. You hear the straw rustle shifting with him. You return to brushing, this time more slowly. Your hand lingers at your shoulder, where a bit of straw has knotted into the seam. You pinch it free with 2 fingers. The wool beneath is slightly damp, warmth from your body rising against cold air still thick with the scent of old smoke. The light in the room shifts, not brighter, just a touch less gray, a hint of morning arriving behind the thin wall. The window cloth remains dim, but you can see the outline of the shutter. Someone may open it soon, but not yet. The hearth crackles once. A faint gust of warmth lifts the edge of your tunic. From the loft, silence now, only breath. You continue brushing, not with urgency, just with habit, clearing straw that will return in clothes you've worn for too many days, in a room that smells of everyone and everything. There is no change, only movement, and the sound of your cousin sleeping again. Now let us drift into the slower rhythms of shared routine, the kind of dull, repetitive help offered not with excitement or pride, but simply because the work needs doing and you happen to be standing nearby. There is no tool chest here, no rush, no reward, just the creak of old wood, the smell of cold iron, and the gentle patience of 2 villagers saying very little while fixing something that will likely break again by month's end. You kneel beside the door. It's not your door. It belongs to the man who lives 2 cottages down, Henrik or something like it. You've spoken to him often enough to know the rhythm of his voice, but not often enough to remember his children's names. This morning he needed help with a hinge. You happened to be carrying water. He nodded toward the door. You followed him. The hinge is crooked, not broken exactly, but twisted so that the door no longer closes cleanly. Each time it's pulled shut, it groans, hesitates, then gives with a sudden thunk that startles the hens nearby. Henrik points at it and exhales as if the hinge itself might respond to disappointment. He does not speak, nor do you. There's a bundle of twine on the ground beside the threshold. Not fresh twine, this has been used before, stained dark in places, fraying near both ends. He hands it to you, then reaches for a short stick with a nail bent into one end. You begin the repair. First he lifts the door, not fully off its pin, just enough to shift the weight. The bottom scrapes softly against the packed earth, brushing away a tuft of straw that had collected overnight. You press your hand against the hinge and feel the cold iron bite through the wool of your sleeve. The pin is loose, not rusted, just worn. You tap it back into place with the heel of your hand. It wobbles slightly, then settles. Now the twine. You wrap it slowly, threading it behind the hinge where the wood has split slightly. Each loop binds the gap tighter. It doesn't restore strength, it only delays collapse. But for now, that's all that's needed. Henrik watches, then nods once. He hands you a splinter, really more of a sliver, thin and sharp, likely taken from the edge of an old cart axle. You push it into the gap between hinge and frame. It slides in with resistance, wedging the metal in place. Another splinter follows, then a third. The door tilts, slightly less than before. You test it, push it open, pull it closed. It creaks, but no longer catches. Henrik presses his palm to the wood, then steps back. He wipes his hands on his tunic. You do the same, still no words. He nods again. You nod back. The wind shifts. A smell of damp wool and burning straw drifts across the yard. Somewhere nearby, a sheep coughs. From a cottage window, a child watches with vague disinterest. You hand him the twine. He sets it on the bench. The hinge will hold, for now. And with no ceremony at all, the two of you part. And now the day stretches long ahead, quiet and gray. There is no rush, just another task, one you've done 100 times and will do again tomorrow. The bucket is light now, the path is familiar, and your thoughts drift like the clouds overhead, offering no urgency, no change, only steps and the slow movement of time. The bucket is old, its handle creaks faintly as you lift it. A strip of leather holds the iron hoop in place, worn smooth by years of use. The wood slats of the pail are darkened near the bottom, stained by water, mud, and the steady wear of your palm brushing against it each time you carry it home. You step out into the lane. The air has grown heavier, not colder, just more still. There is no wind, no bird calls, just the dull sound of your footsteps brushing against packed earth and the occasional crackle of dry twigs underfoot. The village is quiet. A woman leans against her door frame, staring at nothing. A small child pushes a stick through the mud, following a path only he understands. No one greets you, no one needs to. Everyone knows where you're going. Everyone walks this path sooner or later. The bucket swings gently at your side. Its emptiness is not quite weightless. It tugs with a rhythm, reminding you of each step. Your arm adjusts unconsciously, keeping the bucket from striking your leg. The motion is so familiar that you barely notice it. The road turns. To your left, the last cottages give way to open fields. Patches of frost cling to the weeds. The edges of the path are soft with thawed mud. A few rocks protrude, smoothed by time, coated in lichen. You step around them. Ahead, the well stands near the old tree. Its stones are dark with moisture. Moss clings to the cracks. The rope lies coiled on its side, its fibers stiff with yesterday's dew. A single bucket sits near it, half full and abandoned, probably drawn too early to be warm, too late to be cold. You do not speak. No one waits there today. The place is quiet, the well itself humming with the faint, hollow stillness of water far below. You approach. Set your own bucket down with care. The walk has warmed your legs slightly. Your back remains stiff. Your breath is slow. You stretch your fingers once, then reach for the rope, but you do not drop it yet. Instead, you pause, just for a moment, looking back toward the village where thin smoke rises from the chimneys, and the day continues, unfolding as it always does, without surprise, without haste. Then, turning back to the well, you begin to draw. Let the air grow still again and allow yourself to sit. Just sit for a moment that stretches long, unnoticed by time. No one calls your name. Nothing presses forward. You are between tasks, between thoughts. Your breath even, your hands idle, your eyes following chickens in frozen silence. It is neither important nor forgettable. It simply is. The wall is low. not much more than a knee's height, made of loose fieldstone fitted together without mortar, leaning slightly from seasons of frost and sheep rubbing their flanks against its side. You press your palm to its top before lowering yourself onto it. The stone is cold, rough beneath your hand, but it holds your weight. You sit carefully. One foot rests flat, the other tilts slightly, toe brushing the rim of a frozen puddle. The bucket you carried rests beside you now, tipped slightly, the handle folded against the ground. Its side is speckled with mud and straw. Across the lane the chickens are already there, 4 of them, 2 brown, 1 speckled white, and another nearly black with feathers puffed against the cold. They move without pattern, half scratching, half pecking, over a patch of earth where the morning's frost still clings in the shadows of the fence. Their claws leave faint tracks. Their beaks strike the mud with hollow taps. There is nothing urgent about them. One chicken hops sideways, stares down and pecks again. Another lifts her head, then lowers it with no change in expression. They do not make noise. Not now, just the occasional soft rustle of feathers, or the creak of their bodies shifting weight from one leg to the other. You watch them, not with interest, not with purpose, just because they are there, moving, predictable. The cold creeps slowly through the seat of your tunic. The stone beneath you does not warm. Your hands rest in your lap. You do not rub them together. You simply let them lie there, open, quiet. A breeze moves past, not strong, but enough to stir the hem of your garment and send a scatter of dried leaves spinning along the ground. One chicken startles, then returns to pecking. The world beyond is distant. You hear the faint clink of metal from a cottage somewhere up the lane. A door creaks, then silence again. A crow calls once, far off. It does not repeat itself. You shift slightly on the stone, not to leave, not to speak, just to stretch a stiff muscle in your thigh. The chickens continue. Their beaks strike the ground with dull rhythm. Their eyes blink slowly. The frost clings to the weeds, and the day drifts on, unchanged, unnoticed, unhurried. You stay a little longer. Let your thoughts dim now, like coals cooling after a fire. The light is gray, the room is still, and the taste of hunger is as familiar as the air. You move slowly, not from fatigue, but because there is nothing to hurry for. The food is not fresh, the moment is not new, but still, you must eat something, and so you kneel beside the pot. It rests where it always does, at the edge of the hearth. A clay pot, blackened on the outside, rimmed with soot, its handle chipped on one side. It has not been moved since last night, when the last of the heat slipped away and the pottage inside settled into its final shape. Cold now, solid, faintly congealed where it clings to the interior curve of the vessel. You lift the lid, the smell rises slowly, earthy, sour, a hint of old onion. Mostly it is the scent of boiled root, turnip, perhaps, or parsnip, blended with weak herbs and smoke. Nothing fresh, nothing sharp, just the thick stale presence of food that waited too long. You set the lid aside, reach for the wooden spoon. It's not a spoon, not truly, just a flattened stick, worn smooth at the edges with a shallow scoop carved roughly into its end. You press it into the pot. At first it meets resistance. The contents are firm, gelatinous, clinging to the base like bark. You scrape. The sound is soft, a low scratch, followed by the faint crumbling of charred scraps pulling free. You push the spoon deeper, working slowly around the curve of the pot's bottom. The spoon wobbles. The pot shifts slightly, then steadies. You do not spill anything. There is nothing to spare. Your fingers find a cluster of softened turnip. It breaks apart with a little pressure, yielding to the spoon. You lift it. The texture is uninviting, neither smooth nor whole, just a smear of something that was once food. You blow on it once, though it is not warm, then taste. It is bland. No salt, no fat, only the flavor of long-cooked vegetable, drawn thin by time and watered broth. You swallow. Your stomach acknowledges the gesture, not with relief, but with quiet expectation. You scrape again. Bits of burnt pottage flake loose, darkened pieces stuck to the clay, offering a faint crunch when chewed. You gather these as well, pressing them gently into the bowl cupped in your other hand. Each flake is precious, each mouthful a quiet task. From behind, someone coughs. The others stir faintly. One murmurs. Another turns over on their bedding. No one comes to the hearth. This part of the morning is yours. You scrape once more, then sit on your heels, bowl in lap, spoon resting against the rim. There is not much, but it is something. And so in the flickering light of the hearth, surrounded by the still weight of dawn, you begin to eat, slowly, without noise, until the bowl is empty, and the pot is scraped clean. Now let your mind grow dull. Let the world fade into the quiet hum of ordinary voices, low and slow, spoken without urgency. Just the soft rhythm of two tired elders sitting by the hearth, wondering again what day it might be. It doesn't matter, of course. Nothing depends on it. But still, they discuss. You are seated near the hearth, your bowl empty now, resting on your knees. The fire has shrunk again. Its light barely touches the edges of the room. The air is warmer than it was an hour ago, but only just. A faint smell of charred wood and yesterday's broth lingers in your sleeves. To your left, two figures sit on the bench. Old men, one taller, shoulders stooped, the other rounder, bundled in 3 layers of wool. Their hands rest on their thighs. Their boots are set neatly beneath them, and between them, the sound of slow disagreement. "I think it's Tuesday," one says, voice barely more than a breath. The other huffs softly, not unkindly. "No, can't be. Tuesday was when we carried the barley sacks. That was yesterday." A pause. The first scratches his jaw. "That wasn't yesterday. That was the day the boy brought the ox back from Milden Lane. That was Monday." "You're thinking of last week," the second replies, voice muffled beneath the hood of his cloak. "Last week the boy came back. This week he didn't leave." They fall silent. For a moment, there is only the creak of the bench as one shifts, a faint crackle from the hearth, a pop as the log splits softly down the center. The taller man leans forward. "Then what day is it?" A shrug. "Could be Wednesday. You said Tuesday. I said what I thought." Another pause. One of them coughs, not from illness, just from dust. He wipes his mouth with a bit of cloth, tucks it back into his sleeve. The conversation resumes, not with insistence but with the gentle looping of thoughts half remembered. "If it's Wednesday, then the baker should have come. He did. On Monday. That was last week. No, I think no, it rained on Monday." "Did it? Or maybe that was the day the child fell in the ditch." They fall silent again. You do not interrupt. No one does. It is not about the answer. It is about the asking, the soft negotiation of memories, the placement of tiny facts into a week that never quite holds its shape. One of them speaks again. "Either way, tomorrow's Thursday." The other nods, slowly. "That sounds right." And with that, the matter is settled. At least for now. Outside, a dog barks once in the distance. A breeze pushes against the door. The elders say nothing more. They sit in the fading firelight, and you sit beside them, waiting for nothing, listening to time pass, not in certainty, but in the slow, quiet wonder of two old men measuring days by fragments. And now we find ourselves again at the edge of motion, but not activity, just waiting, quiet waiting, the kind that fills the better part of a morning with no sound but shifting feet and muffled breath. You carry bread in your hands. It is not warm, not fresh, but it is something. And before you can eat, you must stand behind others just like you in the gray silence near the oven's smoke. You stand in line, not because anyone told you to. There is no chalk mark, no rope, no name list, just a worn path in the earth where people gather each morning, waiting for the oven to be ready. You hold your loaf under one arm. The cloth around it is thin, brown with flour dust, folded more times than needed. The bread is stale. You knew it would be. It always is after 2 days. The crust has hardened. the inside gone dry. You squeeze it lightly through the cloth, not enough to break it, just to feel its weight. It is heavier than it looks. Ahead of you 3 people stand. None speak. The first in line holds a flat round loaf carefully pinched shut at the center where it split during baking. Behind her, a man in a patched coat stares at the ground. His feet shift every so often. The third is a child, barefoot, holding a small roll in both hands like a treasure. You wait. The smoke rises from the oven's chimney, thin at first, then stronger. A sure sign the coals have settled and the heat is coming up. The oven itself is built into the village's stone wall, squat and dark, its iron door streaked with soot. A single bench nearby holds yesterday's ashes, still faintly warm to the touch. You can smell it now. Not bread, not yet, just the scent of heat, of scorched wood and brick. The woman at the front steps forward, nods once to the oven minder, a man with no expression and thick leather mitts. She hands him her loaf. He slides it inside without a word. More smoke drifts upward. A dog sniffs nearby, uninterested. A bird cries once from a rooftop. A cart creaks in the distance. No one in line turns their head. The minutes pass slowly. Your fingers grow cold again. You shift your loaf from one arm to the other. The cloth brushes your chin. The crust presses into your ribs. You resist the urge to chew it as it is. It would take too long to soften in your mouth. The man in the patched coat steps forward. He nods. The child follows, placing her roll on the bench for a moment before lifting it again with great care. The oven minder glances up once, then returns to his work. No one thanks him. No one is thanked. You are next. You do not move quickly. You do not smile. You simply extend your loaf. He takes it, slides it in, closes the door. You step to the side and begin the second wait for warmth, not joy, not nourishment, just warmth, and the slow passing of minutes by the oven wall. Now the light has faded again, but not into night, only into the low gray stillness of rain, soft, persistent, without wind, the kind that never stops, only slows. You are not outside, you are beneath the eaves, dry enough to work, but close enough to feel the cold through the soles of your feet. There is a hole in your boot, of course there is, and you are patching it slowly, silently, as rain falls one drop at a time. The roof drips in rhythm, not a fast one, not even steady, just a slow succession of drops from a frayed edge of thatch, each one gathering weight along the yellowed reed, then falling. Some land in the puddle beside the stones, others strike the wooden step, darkening it, one ring at a time. The rest vanish into the packed earth, lost before they land. You sit on a low stool, boots before you, the left one in your lap, the right still on your foot, heel pressed against the doorframe. A patch of ragged wool has been wrapped around your ankle where the lining gave way last week. You'll fix that next, but for now, the hole. It isn't large, about the width of your thumb, but the leather around it has cracked, and each time it rains the cold seeps in. You peel the boot open slightly. The edges are stiff, curling outward like old bark. You rub them with your fingers, trying to soften them with your breath. The rain continues. Drip, 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 drip. You watch one droplet fall and land squarely on a leaf lying near the step. It trembles, slides off the tip, then joins the puddle below without sound. You reach for the patch. It's just a bit of hide cut from the back of a ruined glove, too small for much else. The edges are uneven. You press it into place. It doesn't match the boot, but nothing in your cottage matches. The needle is dull. You thread it slowly, woolen thread taken from the sleeve of a garment too far gone to wear. It frays as you work, so you spit on your fingers to twist it into shape. The knot at the end is barely a knot, just a tangle you hope will hold. You begin to sew. The needle pushes through with resistance. The leather splits slightly, but you work around it. Each stitch pulls the patch tighter. Your hands ache, not from pain but from chill. You do not rush. The stitches are crooked, but they hold. Rain collects at the edge of the roof. You pause to watch it spill, then return to the boot. You prick your thumb once, wipe the blood on your sleeve, Keep sewing. The patch begins to hold. You tug at it gently, then more firmly. It does not move. That is enough. You set the boot down. The rain still falls. Your hands still shake faintly, but the hole is gone. For now. And now we near the end of the day. Not with ceremony, not with sound, but with the slow, unremarkable fading of light. The tasks are done, or left undone. The hearth has dimmed. The air has cooled. You sit, not for any reason but that there is nowhere else to be. And as the darkness comes on, the candles are lit, not brightly, not all at once, but one by one, like small reminders that time is still passing. You sit in the farthest corner of the room. The stool beneath you is uneven. A slight tilt to the left forces you to shift your weight every few minutes. But you do not move much. Your back rests lightly against the wall, where the stone is cold through the wool of your tunic. Your arms lie in your lap. Your feet are bare, pulled close beneath you. No one speaks. The room is filled with the quiet of tired people, some still moving, slowly folding blankets, tucking tools into corners, pouring the last bit of ale into shared cups. Others are already still, seated or half reclined on bedding stuffed with straw and rags. No one hurries. The sun is fading, not gone yet, just slipping behind the trees outside the window. What little sky can be seen through the smudged glass and sagging shutters. The color of the light has changed, once gray, now more the color of ash or worn linen, dull, soft, hard to measure. Someone rises, crosses the room. A candle is lit. It is not a fresh one, just a stub, half used from yesterday, the wick blackened and bent. It flares briefly, then settles into a quiet flickering glow. The flame leans slightly to one side, dancing in the faint draft that seeps beneath the door. A second candle follows, then a third. Each one casts just enough light to reveal the next hand, the next face, the edge of the hearth, but never the whole room. Shadows collect in corners like spilled flour. The smoke from the candles is faint. It smells of beeswax and char, the kind of scent that clings to hair and sleeves. You breathe it in without thinking. It settles in your chest, warm and low. The fire has shrunk, just coals now resting in their own quiet heat. No one tends them. There will be no more logs tonight. You shift slightly on the stool. The stone at your back presses harder now, as your body grows colder with stillness. You adjust. Your hands brush against your knees. Your eyes blur with the soft light, then refocus on the flame closest to you. Someone yawns. Someone coughs. But no one speaks. The candles burn steadily. Their wax pools gently, slowly. A single drop runs down one side and collects at the base. It will harden by morning, be chipped off and saved for next time. You remain still. The day is over, and you are here, in the corner, silent, watching the last light disappear from the shutters, listening to nothing, and feeling time settle around you like dust. Now, let the final weight of the day settle across your chest, not with pain but with the slow, shallow breath of fatigue. The room is dark. The coals have cooled. The air smells faintly of smoke, old wool, and shared silence. You lie down, not to dream, not to hope, but simply because the day is finished and your body has grown too heavy to remain upright. There is no comfort, only stillness. The blanket is already damp, not soaked, just heavy with the slow moisture of winter air and human breath. It has not dried fully since yesterday, nor the day before. You reach for it anyway. It lies across the straw bedding, twisted, pushed aside during the night, half tucked beneath a sleeping limb you do not recognize. You pull it gently. The motion is small, careful. You do not want to wake anyone, but it rustles anyway. Cloth against cloth, rough wool against skin. The sound is familiar, like footsteps in old leaves. The straw crackles softly beneath you. Your body finds its place without thinking, a hollow in the bedding where you've slept every night for months. The same curve beneath your shoulder, the same lump near your hip. You do not shift much. There is no point. You turn onto your side. The wall is close, cold, damp with condensation. You do not touch it. Your breath curls before you, then vanishes. The blanket covers your chest, barely. You tuck your chin beneath the edge. The fabric smells faintly of the body beside you. Smoke, sweat, damp wool, old skin. You do not move away. There is nowhere to go. Just the edge of the bed, then air, then floor. Someone snores. Not loud, just a soft rattle, familiar, rhythmic. You've counted its pattern many times before. You do not count it now. Your throat is dry. You cough, once, then again. The sound echoes faintly in the room. Someone stirs nearby, shifts, settles, says nothing. The air does not change. Still stale, still cold, still thick with sleep and soot, and the faint mustiness of too many bodies in one room. You close your eyes, but you do not fall asleep. Not yet. Your ears still hear the room. Your body still holds the day. Your breath still catches in your chest. You cough again, into the blanket this time. It dulls the sound. The wool tastes bitter. Then stillness returns, and finally, slowly, you begin to drift. Not into dreams, just into the dull quiet of another night, like all the others. And now we remain, not quite awake, not quite asleep, caught in the soft, immobile quiet that comes before light. There is no work yet, no sound, just a long gray waiting. The air is still, the fire has gone out, and the room rests in a darkness that isn't true dark, just the lingering dim of night, not yet gone. Your eyes are open, and you watch the slit in the shutters. You lie on your back. The blanket still covers your chest, damp at the edges, heavier near your feet. Your breath moves slowly, curling faintly against the wool, then disappearing into the fabric. The air in the room is cold, still, tired. You do not move, not because you are comfortable, but because there is nothing to do. The floor is too cold to touch. The room is too dark to see, and so you lie there, eyes open, watching. The slit in the shutters is narrow, barely wider than a knuckle, a thin line where two warped boards no longer meet cleanly. It faces east, just barely, enough to catch the first light when it comes. You've watched it before, many times. Now it is gray, not black, not yet white, just the color of stone at dusk. You stare at it, not blinking. The mist outside presses against it softly. No shapes, no movement, only stillness. Someone beside you sighs, a soft, slow sound. The blanket rises and falls against your ribs. The mattress beneath you creaks faintly as your hip shifts. You feel the straw shift as well. A dry crunch, then silence again. The light in the slit changes, just slightly, a hint of warmth in the gray. Not yellow, not gold, just less blue, a suggestion of color that has not yet arrived. You watch it, breath held, as if it might retreat. Your feet are cold. You tuck them in tighter, but your eyes do not leave the slit. It is your measure, your clock, your only proof that time is passing. No bells have rung, no voices rise, only this, the slow brightening of a narrow line in old wood. Dust floats in the faint light. You can see it now, just barely, drifting before the slit like ash caught in a breath of air. It moves without direction, without reason. The room remains still. No one stirs. The fire is long gone. The coals are dark. The only sound is breath. Yours, theirs, the house. You do not know how long you lie there. Minutes pass without form. The light in the slit brightens, then dulls again, swallowed by a passing cloud, then returns, brighter, steadier. You wait, and the day waits with you, held together by that narrow, misted slit in the shutters, a promise that the sun will rise. Now let your thoughts settle like dust, quiet and slow, as we return to the most ordinary of silences. The meal is finished, such as it was. The bread has been eaten, the mugs are nearly dry, and no one says anything. There are no thanks, no reflections, just crumbs, left behind on a table that tilts slightly to the right. You brush them away, not for cleanliness, not for order, but because it is what one does. The table is rough, just a board nailed to the wall, held up on one side by a pair of uneven legs. It lists a little, enough that bowls always slide to the far end if left unattended. The wood is scored with years of use, knife marks, burned circles from candle stubs, the faint outline of a broken bowl that once rested too long in the same place. You sit beside it. The meal is done. What little bread there was has been eaten. A few bits of dried pea or grain linger near the edges. Your mug is empty, tipped on its side. A smear of dried pottage from someone else's spoon sits near your elbow. No one moves to wipe it. No one speaks. The others are still seated. One stares into the fire which has burned low again. Another rests their forehead on folded arms. A child leans back against a post, thumb pressed lightly to their chin. All breathing, all quiet. You reach out. Your hand moves slowly, softly. The sleeve of your tunic slips down slightly, revealing the pale skin of your wrist. Your fingers spread. Your palm flattens. You brush the crumbs, not quickly, not with force, just a light motion from left to right, gathering the fragments into a small pile near the edge of the table. Bits of crust, a flake of barley, something too small to name. You flick them downward, letting them fall into the straw below. The sound is barely audible, just a faint whisper of grain against wood, a dry rustle as the crumbs land. They disappear into the dust without a trace. You brush again, this time along the seam where the two boards meet. Your thumbnail catches a bit of hardened dough. You work it loose. It flakes, falls, gone. Still no one speaks. The candle nearest the table has begun to sputter. Its wax has pooled across the edge of the holder and begun to drip, slow, steady, pale. The flame dances but does not brighten. The room remains dim. You sit back slightly. Your hand rests once more in your lap. The table is no cleaner than before, but the crumbs are gone, or at least out of sight. A breath is drawn, then released. Still the silence holds, and so you stay, seated beside the table, with nothing to say, and nothing more to brush. And now, the day has begun, but only just. There is no sun yet, only a soft gray haze that lingers above the soil and clings to the edges of every shape. You are outside now, though not far, just pacing slowly across the yard, one boot at a time, scanning the same small space again and again. A chicken is missing, not a tragedy, just another small inconvenience that must be answered before you return to the day's dullness. The yard is quiet, still wet from the night's frost. The ground is soft in places, firm in others. Straw has been scattered across the mud near the fence, though most of it has sunk or blown away. A few frozen footprints, some yours, some others, pattern the earth without clear direction. You pace slowly, each step placed with care, not because the ground is dangerous but because you are looking, not listening, just looking, for movement, for a bit of rust-colored feather, for a familiar flutter near the gate. The other chickens are accounted for, 4 of them, pecking with little urgency at the ground near the coop. Their feathers are puffed against the cold, their movements slow. One scratches without conviction, another blinks as though forgetting where it is. They do not notice the absence, but you do. One is missing. You walk past the coop. Its door is latched, slightly crooked as always. The straw inside is dry, no sign of struggle, no sign of intrusion, just quiet. The kind of stillness that doesn't feel empty, just incomplete. You move toward the fence. It leans, of course. Everything leans. The slats are loose at the bottom where the soil has shifted. You crouch slightly, look beneath. No feathers, no scratching, only the slow movement of a worm across the surface of the mud, tracing a faint trail behind it. The morning remains gray. The sky above is colorless. Even the tree branches seem less defined in this light, just a blur of charcoal and pale air. Your breath fogs softly with each exhale. You do not speak. You do not call for the hen. She would not come. You circle the yard again, past the bucket, past the old trough, past the post where someone once tied a goat that's been gone for a year now. You pause near a pile of damp wood, stacked poorly against the side of the shed. Then you see it. Not the chicken, but a single feather. It lies just beneath the shed's overhang, caught in a bit of windless stillness. Not torn, not bloodied, just out of place. You crouch, lift it. It is hers, likely, possibly. There's no way to know. You turn it in your fingers once, then tuck it into the front of your tunic without thinking, still pacing, still searching. One more lap around the fence. The gray has not lifted, and the chicken is still gone. Now the day has warmed just enough for dust to stir and for hands to find work that makes no sound. There is no broom, no brush, only a bundle of dried reeds bound with string, worn at the tips, dragged softly across a floor that never truly becomes clean. You do not expect results, only a little order, only motion, quiet, repetitive motion. The floor is packed earth, uneven in places, smooth in others, dark with moisture near the hearth, lighter beneath the window where the sun sometimes falls. It bears the prints of many feet, the soft scrape of bare heels, the pressed edge of boots, the scuff of baskets dragged from one side of the room to the other. You hold the reed bundle in both hands. It isn't heavy, but the binding is tight, and the stalks dig into your palm where the wrap has loosened. A few reeds bend outward. One has broken near the tip, but it still holds enough stiffness to sweep. You begin in the far corner, always the corner. Dust gathers there first, bits of straw, feathers, a small pebble that rolled in from the yard days ago. You drag the bundle across the surface, not quickly, not forcefully, just enough to shift the dirt. It makes a sound, a soft hiss, a dry whisper as the reeds catch the top layer of dust and pull it forward in a low, loose wave. You watch it gather, piling against your bare foot. Then you take a step back and begin again. The motion is rhythmic. Forward, pause, pull back, step, turn. The floor does not change much, but each stroke of the reed leaves a faint line, a pattern of thin striations that mark where you've passed. A record of care, a moment of stillness broken only by soft scraping. Someone sighs nearby, not at you, just to release air. The fire is low. Someone turns over in the straw, but no one speaks. They know this sound. The reed bundle is part of the morning, like the coughs, like the tea kettle that rarely boils, like the loose shutter that knocks softly in the breeze. You sweep again, past the table leg, around the corner of the hearth, beneath the bench where an old bowl lies on its side, forgotten since last night. You do not lift it. You sweep around it. More dust gathers. You guide it toward the doorway. The light there is soft. The slit in the shutters has widened. A faint stripe of gold spills across the floor. You do not step into it. You stay in the shadow. One last sweep. The pile is small, mostly dust, a few twigs, one chicken feather. You kneel, scoop it up with your hand, drop it into a cloth scrap set aside for kindling. You rise, and the room is no cleaner, but the sweeping is done. Now the afternoon has quieted again. The warmth from the hearth is steady but not strong. Your hands are cold, though your sleeves are damp with work. You do not sit yet. There are socks to dry, not many, just a pair, wet from the yard or from yesterday's snow melt. And so you do what must be done, hang them near the fire, using what you have, slowly, without comment, without thought. The socks are heavy in your hands, wool, coarse, spun thick but not tight. They smell faintly of ash and wet earth. You squeeze them once, gently, before holding them at arm's length. Water drips from the toe of the left one, just a drop. It lands on the packed floor with a soft tap and vanishes. The hearth gives off a low heat. You do not feel it at first, but as you step closer, the air shifts. Warmer near the knees, warmer still at your chest. Your face remains cool. You crouch slightly, careful not to knock the iron kettle beside the coals. The twine is already in place, strung between two nails, one bent sharply to the left, the other drooping just enough to threaten collapse, though it never quite does. The twine sags a little in the middle. It has blackened from smoke and frayed in one place where a prior sock caught. You hang the left one first, folded at the ankle, balanced over the line. It clings without falling. The water darkens the twine immediately. A new drip forms and releases onto the hearthstones below. Then the right. You adjust it once, to match the sag of its pair. The toes dangle toward the fire. The heels twist inward, almost touching. The wool begins to steam faintly where the warmth reaches it. You step back, but not far. Your eyes remain fixed on them, not out of concern, just to be sure they do not fall. You know how long they take to dry. Not quickly, not evenly. The toe will dry first, then the top. The heel will remain damp well into nightfall. You wipe your hands on your tunic. The damp transfers. You feel it along your thighs. You do not wipe them again. Behind you someone stirs. A stool creaks. A breath is drawn. Then nothing. The socks remain, motionless, waiting. One drop falls, then another, and the room holds still. And now the day has settled into that long, unshifting hour when nothing more can be done but wait. There is no hurry, no voices, no chores pressing close. Just the pot half full with barley, slow to bubble, slow to thicken, and the thin line of smoke curling from its rim. You are not hungry yet. You are only watching, with the kind of dull attention that comes after too many days exactly like this one. The pot rests on the hearth, not directly in the flames but near enough to catch the heat. It is iron, blackened along the sides and slightly misshapen where one edge bent inward long ago and was never fixed. Its lid has been set aside, a flat stone now resting near the coals. Steam rises from the surface of the water, not much, just enough to fog the air above it. You kneel, not to stir, not to feed the fire, just to look. The water trembles now and then, small ripples at first, faint disruptions across the surface. A single barley grain rises, then falls again. The rest remain below, expanding slowly, thickening the broth in quiet increments. The smell is soft, grain, a little smoke, a faint bitterness from the pot itself. Its iron walls always give off a scent when heated too long. There are no herbs, no fat, just barley and water. Maybe a pinch of salt if someone remembered, if someone could spare it. You lean forward, your breath does not stir the surface, but you imagine it does. Imagine that each slow exhale pushes the steam upward, curling it gently toward the thatched beams above. A pop, then silence. Another pop. A single bubble breaks the surface, then closes behind itself. The fire crackles low, not beneath the pot, just beside it. A few embers shift. A log splits with a quiet snap, sending a small puff of ash into the hearth. You do not look away. The barley is not done. You know it by the texture of the steam. The water still moves too freely. The grains haven't bloomed yet. You wait for that thickening, that change in sound when the boil becomes a slow hiss, and the grains cling to one another with weight. You do not speak. No one does. Behind you, someone snores lightly. Another rolls over in the straw. A spoon clinks against wood as a bowl is moved. These sounds pass through you, unnoticed. You keep watching. The pot does not bubble quickly. It never has. It is slow, like everything. One grain rises again. You do not count it. You only wait, eyes steady for the barley to boil. And now we return to the slowest of chores, the kind meant not to finish but to fill time. You sit near the wall, not because it is warm but because it is out of the way. The bowl at your side is old, chipped, cracked, faintly curved on one edge. The peas are dry, hard as gravel. You shell them one by one, not with urgency, not with joy, but simply because they are there. The wall behind you is cold, stone, mostly, with a thin layer of old plaster that crumbles if touched too roughly. You lean against it anyway, your shoulder pressed lightly into the uneven surface. The draft creeps through a narrow crack beneath the window, a soft, invisible current that brushes your cheek and flutters the edge of your sleeve. The bowl rests beside you. Its rim is broken in one place, worn smooth by years of fingers tracing around the damage. A pale line runs down its interior, where the glaze once shone, now faded and dull. You set it carefully against the floor, using your knee to steady it when it rocks. The peas are dry, they rattle faintly in your apron as you gather a handful, pale green and yellow, wrinkled from age, firm between your fingers. You take one, press your thumbnail against the seam. The pod gives with a dry crack. The peas fall out, 4 of them, round, smooth. They land in the bowl with soft clicks, scattering slightly before settling. You place the empty shell to the side, near the stack of others already done. Then take another pod, crack, click, drop, repeat. The sound is steady. The room around you is not loud. A murmur of voices near the door, a cough, a thud as someone sets down a boot. But these are distant, faded. You remain beside the wall. The draft grows no stronger. The light fades by degrees. Another pod. This one yields 5 peas. One is shriveled. You place it aside. The others join the bowl. The cracked rim does not cut your hand, but you avoid it all the same. You shift your legs. The floor beneath you is hard. Straw offers no cushion. Your knees complain faintly, but you do not stop. There are more pods in your lap. Crack, click, drop. Time continues. Not with bells or tasks, just with peas in a bowl. A shrinking pile of pods, a growing pile of husks, and your breath steady, fogging faintly in the cool air beside the drafty wall. Now let the day pass without question, without need, without change. You are seated, not for rest, not for interest, but because there is nowhere else to be. The stool is low, the room is quiet, and your uncle has begun to speak again, not urgently, not with excitement, but with that slow, meandering tone reserved only for recalling things already known. Yesterday's weather, told again. The stool beneath you is uneven. 3 legs, one shorter than the others. You shift your weight to find balance. The edge presses into the back of your thigh. You do not move again. Your hands rest in your lap. Your eyes do not wander. Your uncle sits across from you on a bench near the hearth. His boots are off, his cloak draped loosely around his shoulders, the hem darkened from the morning's frost. He leans forward slightly, his elbows rest on his knees, his fingers twist the edge of his sleeve without thinking. He begins. Yesterday, he says slowly, there was frost before sunrise, not thick, just light enough to catch the grass tips. He pauses. You remember. You nod. Once. He does not look up. Didn't last long. Burned off before first bell. Just a glisten, like dew, but duller. Another pause. He scratches his neck. Sky was clear then, pale, yellow at the edges where the sun comes up slow these days, not like midsummer. This time of year it's a crawl. His eyes drift toward the shutters. They creaked when the wind caught 'em, not loud, just that dry groan they make, like the well crank. You glance at the shutters, closed now, just as they were yesterday. Your uncle continues. Afternoon it clouded. Not much. Wisps mostly. Not thick enough for rain. Just that high kind of cloud that stretches and forgets where it started. You nod again. He rubs his knee. Wind came up a bit round mid-afternoon. Just enough to lift the dust. Not cold wind. Not warm. That in-between kind. You felt it. He doesn't wait for your answer. Then by dusk, quiet again. No birds, even the hens tucked in early. He clears his throat. And the moon, he gestures vaguely, wasn't full but near to it. A little smudge on the right side. He pauses, pulls his cloak tighter. That's how it was. You nod once more. Neither of you speaks. The fire cracks softly. A dog sighs near the door. The room grows dimmer. Your uncle leans back. Could be the same today, he says. but neither of you checks, and the stool beneath you stays uneven. And now we turn again to the cold, slow labor that fills the day between dawn and dusk. Not noble work, not urgent but necessary. The fire grows low, the stack behind the shed remains damp from last week's rain, and so you carry the wood, not in bundles, not in haste, but one log at a time over the same stretch of ground, step by dull step. The air outside is damp, not raining, but wet enough that your sleeves absorb the moisture without touching anything. Your boots leave shallow impressions in the mud, each one filling slowly, as if the earth prefers to forget that you passed this way. The shed stands to your left, its boards have warped in the weather. Moss clings to the lower edge and the roof sags at the center line. Behind it, tucked in the narrow space between wall and hedge, is the woodpile. You reach for the first log. The stack has slumped, the top is uneven. Bark peels away where water has soaked the surface. You choose carefully, not the thickest, not the rotten ones, just a log that seems sound enough to burn. You lift it, it's heavier than expected. Sudden, the water has soaked deep into the grain. It drips faintly from one end. Your fingers find no dry edge to grip. You wipe them on your tunic, then hold the log to your chest. You walk, not far, just from the shed to the hearth. But the path is soft. Your feet sink slightly with each step. The log presses against your ribs. Your arms tire quickly, but you do not pause. You reach the door, nudge it open with your elbow, step inside. The fire is low, one coal glows faintly. You place the log near the hearth, carefully, not touching the edge, but close enough to warm slightly before use. Then you return, out the door, across the yard, back to the shed. Another log, another walk. Again, you do not count the trips, you do not rush. Your back begins to ache, not sharply, just the familiar dull pull of repetition. Your boots grow heavier with mud. Your breath fogs before you. Each log is the same, but not quite. Some darker, some split, some too short. You set those aside. You know which ones will burn, which ones must wait. Inside, the fire is waiting, not for heat, just for presence. You carry on, one log at a time. And now we pause in the middle of a task that should have been simple but never is. The bucket leaks, of course it does, and there is no new one. Only this, the same wooden pail used for seasons beyond counting. You do not fix it out of pride or hope, only because it must carry water and string will hold at least for now. The bucket sits before you, tipped slightly, resting on a flat stone. Its handle is worn smooth where fingers have curled around it too often. The slats have begun to part, just enough for water to slip through when filled. Not quickly, not visibly at first, but enough to leave a trail on the walk home, enough to matter. You crouch beside it. The ground beneath you is uneven, damp where the pigs turned it with their snouts earlier that morning. A bit of straw clings to your sleeve. The smell of the sty lingers in the air, pungent, sour, and permanent. The string lies nearby, a bit of cord frayed at both ends, knotted twice already from some earlier use, likely from a bundle of wood, or a gate latch. You pick it up, wipe the worst of the muck from it with your tunic and pull it taut between your hands. It holds. You wrap it around the bucket, low near the base, where the seam has widened just enough to break the line of water when it comes. The wood is cold beneath your fingers, damp. Your hands shake slightly, not from cold but from effort unending. You pull the string tight. It bites into the wood, settles into the grooves worn deep by years of use. You knot it once, then again. The knot is crooked. The string slips. You curse under your breath. Knot it a third time. It holds. You run your fingers along the seam, still damp, still darkened with old leaks, but maybe this will slow it. Maybe just enough to carry water from the well to the pot, from the stream to the trough. You lift the bucket. It groans faintly. The wood flexes. The handle creaks. A flake of old bark crumbles away. You do not smile. You do not hope. You only carry it, back toward the house, where the fire waits, and the string holds. For now, and now, the day returns to its slowest form. Rain again, as though it never truly stopped, only paused to catch breath. You are seated at the window, not for light, there is none, not for air, it is cold, only because the stool was there, and the wall behind it was firm. You do not look at anything in particular. Your eyes drift, unfocused, as the rain begins once more. The window is small, a single pane of glass, warped at the edges where it meets the frame. Its corners hold the ghost of condensation. The wood around it is darkened, soft in one spot, where the grain has long since begun to rot. A faint whistle of air slips through the bottom, even when shut. The stool beneath you creaks softly. Its legs are uneven, but it does not rock. One hand rests on the sill, the other hangs loosely at your side. Your fingers brush the frayed edge of your tunic. Your feet are tucked beneath the stool, not for warmth but for lack of room. Outside the sky has no shape, just gray, thick, unmoving. The first drops of rain strike the glass with soft taps, irregular, then rhythmic. You do not blink, do not count them, you simply watch. There is nothing to see, no motion, no figures passing, just the yard, darkened earth marked by old boot tracks. The fence leaning slightly now streaked with wet, the empty trough, the corner of the shed roof sagging beneath its own weight, all softened by mist. You lean forward slightly, your breath touches the window. A faint fog blooms on the glass, then disappears. The rain grows steadier, a curtain of it now, not heavy, not loud, just persistent. It runs down the glass in long rivulets, catching in the imperfections, pooling briefly at the bottom before slipping over the sill. You follow one with your eyes, but not with interest. You are not thinking, not of chores, not of hunger, not of what will come next. Only rain, only the weight of stillness, the sound of it, the sameness of it. Someone moves in the room behind you. Their footsteps are soft, a low murmur of speech, then quiet again. You do not turn. You sit at the window, staring at the nothing that rain becomes when you have watched it too long. And now the hour slips into that narrow space between fatigue and stillness. The day is neither ending nor beginning. You are not standing, not lying down, just sitting, half folded into yourself with your back pressed against the cold stone wall. The air does not move, your fingers move only slightly, not with purpose, not with care, just gently picking bits of hay from the folds of your tunic. The wall is cold, not sharply, just consistently, picking bits of hay from the folds of your tunic. The wall is cold, not sharply, just consistently. Its chill seeps through your tunic, into your shoulders, down your spine. The stone is uneven. You shift slightly until your back finds a flatter space. It does not help much. Your knees are bent, drawn up loosely before you, ankles crossed. One hand rests across your shin, the other works slowly, fingers pinching, plucking, pausing, removing small strands of straw from your lap, your sleeves, the space between seams. The hay clings, dry, coarse, broken into short fragments, some golden, some gray, others pale and brittle, nearly invisible against the worn wool of your tunic. You lift each bit one by one, brushing it off or flicking it aside without thought. The sound is soft, a faint rustle as you shift, a soft pat as straw falls to the packed earth beside you. Once a longer strand clings to your cuff. You pull it free with slow care, winding it around your finger before letting it drop. The air smells faintly of dust, old straw, dry wood, a trace of smoke from the hearth behind you. The room is quiet. Someone breathes nearby. Someone turns over in the bedding, but there is no conversation, only the small movements of people waiting for nothing. You pick at your tunic again, find a fragment near the collar, tug gently, it resists. You pull again, it comes free. You drop it beside the others. Your eyes do not focus, They rest somewhere beyond the room, not quite closed, not quite aware, just open enough to see light shift along the wall, to note the faint shadow your arm casts against the stone, another piece of hay, another small motion. Your shoulders settle more deeply into the wall. The cold is familiar now. You are not warm, but you are not moving, just sitting, still, picking hay. And now the day rests in its slowest form, the kind of hour that brings no urgency, no purpose beyond the simple motion of hand and tool. You sit near the door, not because it is bright, but because the light is just enough. The ground is cold, the air smells of wet wood, and in your hands is a small spoon, carved from bone, dull at the tip, needing only a bit more shape. You sharpen it against a stone. The door is open behind you, not wide, just enough to let air pass through. The hinge creaks faintly when the breeze shifts. The wood scrapes softly against the stone frame. You sit with your back to it, crouched low, one knee drawn up, the other foot planted firm in the mud-slick yard. The spoon rests in your left hand, not new, not finished. A bit of rib bone, likely from a sheep, carved down with the edge of a knife until it took a shallow bowl. Now the edges are rough, the curve uneven, the point dulled from use. The stone in your right hand is small, flat, pale gray, worn smooth on one side. You've used it before for tools, for hooks, for smoothing the sharp edges of broken things. It fits neatly in your palm. You begin to scrape. The sound is low, not grinding, just a steady whisper of bone against grit. You hold the spoon firmly at the base, moving the stone in short, careful strokes along the edge of the bowl. The shavings fall softly. Thin curls of white gather on your tunic like dust. The light is pale, no sun, just a wide gray sky and the even diffused light that comes before rain. The stone picks up a faint dampness from the air. It sticks to your fingers. You rub them once, then resume. Scrape, scrape, pause. You run your thumb along the edge, still too thick near the tip. You adjust your grip, sharpen again. The edge begins to thin, still imperfect but smoother now. The bowl is shallower than you hoped. It will hold enough for broth, not much more. You shift your weight, your knee creaks. A drop of water falls from the eaves. You do not look up. A chicken passes nearby. Its feet scratch in the mud. It pays you no mind. You keep working. The spoon now bears the marks of care. Each stroke has left a faint groove, a soft slope. It is not beautiful, but it is closer to finished. You wipe it on your sleeve. Turn it once in the light, then lower it to your lap. The sharpening is done. For now. And now the hour has drifted past even its usefulness. The fire is burning low. The work for now is done or left undone, and your mind settles into that soft blank watching that asks for nothing, offers nothing. Outside, a neighbor is chasing geese. Not urgently, not skillfully, just with that tired insistence that belongs only to such days. You stand or sit. It hardly matters. You do not speak, you only watch. The geese have gotten loose again. 3 of them, maybe 4. Their wings low, necks stretched, feet slapping against the wet ground. They dart between the fence and the trough, around the corner of the cottage, then back again, always just out of reach. Your neighbor follows. He does not run, he stumbles. A half jog, boots heavy with mud, arms outstretched more from habit than hope. His cap has slipped down over one ear. His coat is open, flapping slightly with each step. One bootlace is untied. The geese do not honk. They hiss. Their movements are sharp, sudden, without rhythm. One of them slips in the muck and rights itself with a wing beat that sends a spray of water into the air. Another turns back briefly, as if to challenge him before darting away again. He says nothing, not to them, not to himself, just breathes. Hard, shallow, steady. The sound of his boots in the mud is louder than his voice ever would be. You are watching, perhaps from the doorway, or from the bench near the shed. Your hands are still, folded, or resting in your lap. The chill in the air seeps through your sleeves, but you do not notice. The mud is everywhere, slick, deep in patches. It clings to the geese's bellies, to your neighbor's hem, to the boards of the fence where one bird has now wedged itself sideways, wings flapping against the wood. He lunges, misses, stumbles, catches himself on the trough. The geese scatter. You do not laugh. No one does. This is not new, not rare, just part of a life shaped by small misfortunes and quiet repetition. Your neighbor pauses, hands on knees, catching breath. The geese circle the coop, and he begins again. You remain still, silent, watching, and the mud grows deeper. And now, in the dim hush of the fading afternoon, we turn to a task so slow, so minor, it might pass unnoticed even while doing it. The lantern is not needed yet, and may not be used tonight at all, but it sits with soot on its glass, and your hands are not occupied, and so you take a cloth, damp, frayed, cool, and begin to wipe, not to shine, not to restore, just to keep the soot from thickening. The lantern rests on the bench, iron frame, glass sides, hinges stiff with rust. It leans slightly to one side where a foot has bent inward. The soot coats the inside and out, a gray film left from nights of poor tallow and low burning wick. Your cloth is damp, not soaked, just enough moisture drawn from the wash basin to keep the ash from rising in clouds. You wring it once, fold it twice, then press it to the glass. The smear is soft. It leaves a trail, a thin, clean arc across the pane. Behind it the soot clings thicker. You press more firmly. The cloth catches on a ridge. You adjust. Begin again. Wipe. Pause. Wipe again. The soot dulls the glass. Even as you clean it, more remains. It will never be clear. You are not trying for clarity, just less darkness, just enough to see the shape of a flame when it comes time. Your fingers grow black. The soot transfers through the cloth, through the weave. It coats your nails, the creases of your knuckles. You wipe them on your sleeve without thinking. A faint black mark appears. It does not matter. You turn the lantern slightly. The hinge groans. You wipe the next side. This pane is chipped, barely a nick in the corner, but your cloth snags on it just the same. You pull it free, smooth the fold, continue. No one speaks, no one watches. This task is yours alone, not because it is important, only because you have not yet stood up, and the cloth was already in reach. A drop of water falls from the edge of the glass. It lands on the bench, darkening the wood. You wipe it once, though you know it will dry unevenly. The lantern remains dark, unlit. You do not rush. There is no light outside, but there is no hurry for light inside, just soot and a slow cloth. And now the ground beneath your feet demands your attention, not loudly, not suddenly, but with that quiet persistence of soft earth grown too familiar. The path is muddy. It has been for days. Your boots still bear the memory of your last fall, silent, undramatic, but bothersome. And so you stoop. You do not complain. You do not call for help. You begin to arrange stones, slowly, carefully, one at a time. The path is narrow, worn by footsteps, not designed. It winds between the shed and the corner of the fence, where the chickens sometimes gather, where the rainwater always seems to pool. The mud here is thick, slippery, coated with bits of straw, cracked shells, and other unspoken debris. Your boots are already damp, the tops stained, the soles caked. A dark streak down one leg from where you slipped 2 mornings ago. You haven't spoken of it, but your body remembers, and so your hands work now, not with speed but with deliberation. The stones lie in a pile nearby, not gathered for this, just there, left from some other task. Uneven in size, streaked with lichen, some still half covered in dirt. You squat slowly, choose one, test its weight. Flat enough, broad enough, it will do. You press it into the mud, not deep, just enough to sit level. Your fingers smear a bit of earth across the top. You shift your weight. Test it with a heel. It holds. You return to the pile. Another stone. This one thinner, more oval. It wobbles slightly when pressed. You dig a shallow hollow. Settle it in. Shift it once. Then again. It holds. The air is quiet. Damp. A few birds call faintly from the hedgerow. The wind has died down, leaving the space still. Even your breath seems to slow, as if echoing the pace of your work. Stone by stone, a short line begins to form, each one set with care, not for beauty, not for permanence, just enough to carry a step, just enough to make tomorrow's walk to the trough a little less unpleasant. You pause, wipe your hands on your tunic. Mud streaks the fabric. It is already stained. You continue. The path will not be dry tomorrow, but it will be less treacherous, and that is enough. And now the hour has drawn long enough that your thoughts turn to rest, not with eagerness but with the quiet acceptance that there is nowhere else to go and nothing more to do. The light is low, the hearth is fading. You return to your place. The straw lies where it always does, pressed flat, scattered, and uneven. You begin to shift it, slowly, not to make it soft, only less lumpy. The bedding is familiar. A wide sack sewn from coarse cloth, patched more than once at the seams. It lies directly on the floor, where the earth is dry though never quite warm. The straw inside has grown tired, broken into small, sharp fragments that no longer cushion, only shift beneath you. You kneel beside it. Your knees press into the floor. The straw crackles faintly as you lean forward. You lift one edge of the sack and shake it lightly. Nothing changes. You reach inside. Your hand disappears into the itchy filling. It finds a knot of stalks, hard, dense, resistant. You pull at it. It shifts. The lump rolls to one side. You press the straw flat, then try again. Another spot, a ridge this time, like a twisted rope of grass buried beneath the surface. You knead it with both hands, smoothing it slowly, feeling each piece slide past the others. It resists at first, then gives a little, just enough. You lie down briefly, test the spot. Your shoulder rests unevenly. You rise again. Adjust the filling near your hip. Pull a few clumps from one side to the other. Redistribute the weight. No comfort comes, only adjustment. Your hands itch from the chaff. You scratch at your wrist, then return to the straw. A stalk pokes through the cloth. You push it back. It will return again tomorrow. Behind you, someone coughs. Another turns in their sleep. The fire is now a low glow, barely light enough to see, but enough to cast faint shadows across the bedding. You sit down. Try once more to find a spot where the lumps are fewest. Your back finds a hollow. Not soft, just less hard. You settle into it. Pull the blanket across your legs. It drags a few bits of straw up with it. You brush them away without looking. Then lie back, and the straw holds you. Not well, not gently, but predictably. And you let it. And now the stillness of the room is broken, not by voices, not by movement, but by a sound from beyond the walls. Faint, rhythmic, the clatter of hooves on hardened ground. A cart, drawn slow, its wheels rattling across stone or packed mud. You do not rise, you do not ask, you only listen and wonder, in that tired, unfocused way, who it might be this time. The sound reaches you softly. A clop, then another, steady. Then a pause as if the horse had hesitated. Then again, clop, clop, followed by the unmistakable creak of wood, the groan of iron, the dull knock of a loose board beneath weight. You sit still, perhaps at the hearth, or on the edge of the bedding, one hand resting on your knee. Your back bowed slightly, the chill of the air settling across your shoulders. The fire has burned low again. Your eyes remain open. The cart is not close. You can tell by the echo how it bounces from cottage to cottage, softened by distance and damp air. likely down the lane just past the hedgerow, where the ground dips near the old gate. The hooves strike again, a steady rhythm now, not rushed, not urgent, just the measured pace of a tired beast pulling a load not quite heavy enough to strain but too heavy to carry swiftly. You listen and wonder, is it Tomas from the mill, or the tanner's boy, returning late, or someone you do not know passing through, looking for trade, or shelter, or word from elsewhere? The thought stirs no alarm, only curiosity, dull, familiar, the kind that rises and falls with no need for answer. The cart draws nearer, then begins to fade again. Perhaps it turned, perhaps it passed. The sound softens. The hoofbeats blend into the wind, into the rustle of old thatch, into the distant cough of someone turning in sleep. You do not speak. There is no one to ask, no need to ask, only the thought, and the echo, and the faint rattle of a cart that may already be gone. And now the evening has deepened into that narrow, flickering hour when the day's last task drags itself across your lap. The fire has dwindled, the room is dim, a single stub of candle offers its weak light, just enough to see your hands, no more. You sit, sock in one hand, needle in the other, and begin to darn, slowly, carefully, not because it will be perfect, but because it must be done before sleep. The sock is worn thin, wool mostly, mended once already near the toe. Now a new hole has appeared, just above the heel, frayed at the edges, threads loosened by wear. You turn the fabric gently in your fingers, seeking the edge of the tear, smoothing it against the small wooden egg placed beneath for shape. The candle flickers, set in a shallow dish beside you. Its flame leans with each shift of air. The wax pools slowly, cooled at the edges, a thin stream running down the side. The light it casts is yellow, uneven, enough to glint off the eye of the needle, to catch the weave of the thread, but barely. You squint, not with frustration, just habit. Your eyes adjust, but never quite fully. The shadows deepen at the corners of the room. You feel the faint strain in your brow. You do not stop. The needle slips through the wool, up, over, down, through. You catch the edge of the hole, anchor the thread, begin to weave, not quickly, not beautifully, just in steady rows, horizontal, vertical, patching the gap with a crosshatch of motion that grows slowly into fabric. You pause to adjust the thread. It tangles near the base. You smooth it with your thumb, pull gently. The knot tightens. You resume. Outside, the wind has picked up. You hear it in the gaps of the doorframe, feel it at your ankles. The candle flickers again. A shadow moves across your hand, then disappears. You lean in closer. The sock is almost mended, the hole now a patch of tight lines, slightly darker than the surrounding wool, not smooth, not even, but whole. You tie off the thread, cut it with the edge of the needle, smooth the seam with your thumb. You turn the sock once, then again, fold it, set it beside the other. Your hands fall still, the candle flickers, and the room returns to quiet. And now the cold has settled in, not as a shock but as a presence, something steady, surrounding, always known. You are not outside, not moving, yet your feet ache, not sharply, not newly, just the old familiar cold of shoes not yet dried from the day before. And so you shuffle, slowly, gently, a motion meant not to fix, only to soften. The shoes are leather, cracked at the seams, stiff where the soles meet the sides, still damp along the inside edge. You slip them on this morning without a word. No other pair waits for you. They had sat near the hearth through the night, but the fire was low and the heat never reached them fully. Your toes feel it first, that lingering chill, not the clean cold of snow but the deep damp cold of water trapped in fabric. The wool of your stockings clings to your skin, not in warmth but in slow discomfort. You do not remove them, instead you shuffle, not across the floor, just enough to feel the straw beneath your heels. A slow movement, side to side, pressing gently, coaxing warmth where none arrives. The motion is quiet, barely audible, a soft whisper of foot against earth, of shoe against heel, of sock against sole. The floor beneath you is packed dirt, worn smooth by years of such movements. It bears the mark of lives lived just like this. You shuffle again. The dampness has not left, but the friction begins to help. A faint tingling at your toes. Not heat, not yet, just sensation. A return of feeling where there had been only numb dullness. You wiggle your toes. Inside the shoe the cloth shifts. Your heel lifts slightly. A pocket of air forms near the arch. Cool at first, then still. Someone moves nearby. The room holds its breath. You continue shuffling, not constantly, just enough. Enough to remind your feet they are still part of you. The shoes will not dry, not today, but your feet perhaps will forget for a little while that they are cold, and that is enough. And now the day winds toward its end, not suddenly, not with rest, but with the slow sorting of discomforts gathered along the way. You sit near the hearth, not for light, though it gives a faint glow, not for warmth, though it offers just enough. Your hands are sore, not from injury, just from use. Splinters remain, thin, sharp, familiar. You reach for the needle. The hearth flickers quietly. Its coals are low, orange, smudged with gray ash. A single log leans in the corner, unburned. No one stirs to add it. The light is not strong. It casts long shadows across the floor, over your lap, into the lines of your hands. The needle is dull, bent slightly at the tip, its eye smudged with thread from earlier mending. You keep it nearby, not in a box, but tucked into a fold of cloth beside the bone spoon, the bits of twine. It is not sharp enough for sewing anymore, but for this it will do. You hold your hand close to the fire, palm up, fingers curled slightly. Your skin is dry, cracked along the knuckles. A faint layer of soot lingers beneath your nails. In the pad of your thumb a splinter, barely visible, but sharp when pressed. You ease the needle toward it, not quickly. You tilt your hand, catch the light, press the tip gently to the skin, not to pierce, just to lift. A sliver of wood rises slightly, pale, thin, the color of straw. You pinch it between nail and finger, pull. It resists, then gives. You drop it to the floor without looking. Another in your palm. You turn your hand. The skin there is rougher. You drag the needle lightly across it. The edge of the splinter catches. You try again. This time the tip digs under it, lifting just enough to grip. You wince, not from pain, from habit. Another sliver removed. The fire shifts behind you. A log cracks. A faint gust of warm air rises. Your shadow flickers on the wall. You continue. Thumb, palm, side of the index finger. All bear traces of the day's work. Wood carried, straw lifted, old hinges tightened with splinters where no gloves exist. The needle grows warm in your fingers. You do not stop. You are not hurried. You are not waiting, just sitting near the hearth, removing what little pain you can, one splinter at a time. And now the hour stretches long and low, the kind of moment that brings no noise, no interruption, only the soft work of clearing what remains. The fire has gone out, its heat now memory. Ashes lie in the hearth, light, cold, and fine as sifted flour. You kneel before them, spoon in hand, wooden bin at your side. The task is not urgent, not difficult, just slow. The hearth is quiet, no flame, only gray. Layers of ash settled where logs once burned, some clumped, some soft, like snow. Faint shapes remain, ghosted outlines of branches long consumed. The spoon is small, wooden, shallow, more ladle than scoop. You press it gently into the ash. The top layer lifts easily, weightless. It drifts upward, then settles again around the edges. You move slowly, from center to side, one spoonful at a time. Lift, pause, lower. The bin waits beside you. It's old, like everything else. A low, wide box, wood darkened from use, its bottom dusted with yesterday's ash. You tip the spoon gently, Ash spills in, forming soft hills along the base. You return to the hearth, scoop again. Each motion stirs the dust. A fine cloud rises, soft gray, almost invisible in the dim light. It floats, lingers. You purse your lips, blow once. The air moves, the dust scatters, settles on your sleeve, your knees, your wrist. You brush it off without thought. Spoon, lift, tip, blow. Again, the hearth begins to clear. Not clean, never that, but lowered, leveled. The ash no longer clumped, now smooth, pressed down where your spoon has passed. A blackened coal remains. You move it aside, not out, just to the edge. It might catch again later, or not. It doesn't matter. The spoon dips once more. The sound is soft, ash settling in wood, your breath pushing dust aside. The distant murmur of wind outside, moving across the yard. Nothing else. No voices, no clock. Just the quiet rhythm of ashes being moved from one place to another. With care. With stillness. With no end but the next spoonful. And now, if you're still here, still listening, thank you. If this quiet story helped you find calm tonight, please do one small thing before you close your eyes. Tap the like button. It tells the YouTube wins that this content helped someone, and maybe it will help someone else too. And if you want more nights like this, more boring stories, slow voices and quiet rhythms, you can subscribe now. That way when sleep is far away, this space will already be here waiting for you. You can also leave a comment below, just a word, just a thought, even something as simple as "I'm here." You'd be surprised how many people feel less alone when they see that someone else stayed till the end. And finally, if there's anything you'd like to see, hear, or explore next time, leave your thoughts below. I always read them. Close your eyes, rest your hands, and drift. Good night.